Hello and welcome to Octatrack Tip video number 2. Today we will focus on the playback page and its setup menu. In our first tutorial we used single cycle waves as raw material to demonstrate and study the amp parameters. This time we will use one-shots and loops, as some of the settings in the playback pages are difficult to illustrate clearly with single cycle waves. Let's assign a machine drum loop to a flex machine on track 1. The pitch parameter will allow you to pitch your sample up or down 1 octave. The rate parameter lets you further pitch and slow a sample down all the way to 0, where it will stop playing. Negative values will play the sample backwards. A value of 32 will play the sample at half speed and an octave down. We can set the rate parameter to affect only the playback speed of the sample by opening the playback setup menu and switching rate to time stretch. In that case, a rate of 32 will play the loop at half the tempo, but at the same pitch. With time stretching on, changing the pitch of a sample will not alter its playback speed, and changing the sequence tempo will stretch the loop automatically. We enter untapped sonic territory with extreme tempo, pitch, and rate values. In the playback setup menu, try switching the time stretching algorithm between normal and beat. A high transient detection value for the beat algorithm will usually result in cleaner stretching. Subtle to drastic variations can be obtained depending on your source material, tempo setting, and pitch and rate values. Disabling time stretching in the playback setup page will let the Octatrack behave as a regular sampler. Raising or lowering the pitch will speed or slow the playback rate. Changing the tempo will not affect the playback rate. The Octatrack time stretching algorithms take some getting used to, and certainly give a distinguishable character to your sounds. Extreme settings for the pitch and rate will not always yield expected results, but will nonetheless sound interesting and even create new rhythms. Let's assign a synth loop to a flex machine on track 2 and set the rate to 32 to create a bass sound. Place some triggers in a sequence and lock the pitch to some of them. When using a MIDI controller to play our sample, we can lock the pitch to a trigger by holding that trigger and hitting a key on our controller. Once we have a sequence we are happy with, we can further alter its pitch with the rate parameter. We can also parameter lock the rate parameter for intricate and evolving pitch sequences and timing shifts. Or lock it to a scene for on-the-fly morphing. Pitch modulations can be achieved by using slide triggers and a combination of regular trigs and trigless trigs. Let's load a vocal sample to a flex machine on track 3. In the playback setup page, let's toggle the rate parameter to affect the time stretching of our sample and make sure time stretching is on. As you can hear, by bringing the rate value down, the playback speed of the sample decreases without affecting pitch. A rate value of 32 will play back the sample at half its original speed. A rate of 0 will freeze the sample. And negative rate values play the sample backwards. Let's trigger our vocal loop and lock rate and pitch values to trickless tricks in the sequence. We can alter the original sample beyond recognition quite easily, and changing the tempo for experimental purposes can prove inspiring or downright intriguing. The start parameter controls the start point of the sample when it is triggered. Let's load an arpeggio to a flex machine on track 4. Let's place a few triggers down and try locking the start parameter to them. In the playback setup page, we can switch the length parameter to time. This will allow us to control the length of our sample with the length parameter in the playback page. Also, by setting the loop parameter on and adjusting the start point, we create a retrigger effect independently from the retrigger settings. Let's lock length to a few triggers. Experiment with scenes and the parameters covered. In the playback setup menu, we also find the option to turn slices on. Slices will be covered in a future video, as well as the retriggering parameters in the playback page. This concludes our Octatrack Tip video number 2. Thank you for watching.